Hello and welcome guests to the online CPABC How-To Series, Funding Your CPA Education. My name is Sheila Chung. I'm a Student Recruitment Officer at the Chartered Professional Accountants of British Columbia. Thank you for spending 1 hour of your day with us. Just to note, all the information being shared in today's webinar is current as of today's date, December 8, 2023. For the most up-to-date and current information, make sure you refer to our various CPA websites, and we also will be sharing some additional external website resources, so make sure that you pop onto their websites as well. Now, while we start, I would like to take a moment to acknowledge the importance of the land which we each call home, wherever that may be. And I'd like to acknowledge the traditional territories of the Coast Salish peoples, the Squamish, the Musqueam, and Tsleil-Waututh First Nations, on whose traditional territory the physical CPABC office is located. We do this land acknowledgement to reaffirm our commitment and responsibility in improving relationships between nations and to improving our own understanding of local Indigenous peoples. Please join me in a moment of reflection. Thank you for reflecting with me. Now, in our time together, as mentioned, we do have 1 hour time together. I'm going to review just a few little housekeeping items so that our online audience know what to expect and what functions they have in this live webinar. I am also going to be providing a brief introduction as to what is the CPA program, what isn't the CPA program. We have a very small poll because we want to get to know who are our audience members who are logged in with us today. And then we will be hearing from our two CPABC guest speakers, our colleagues, Megan Yorima and Stephanie Roy, who will be sharing with us all their information about Education Foundation, our scholarships and bursaries, who are the CPABC Employer Network employers, what are the top 100 employers, also Government of BC's new Pay Transparency Act. So all this goodness will be shared with you today. The last 20 minutes of our time together will be an open question and answer period. And don't worry, after the formal presentations, I will be providing some instructions as to how do we do this Q&A. Now, just for the audience to know, all the audience members, you are entered in mute while the presentation is in progress. This just allows everyone to be able to hear the speakers and the presentations loud and clear. When we do enter the question and answer portion, that is when audience members will have an opportunity to unmute themselves and ask questions live, or if you feel more comfortable, you are welcome to type your questions into the Q&A box found in the Zoom meeting function. Now, before we dive right in, I do want to let audience members know at the end of this webinar, you will be receiving a thank you email for participating. And in the thank you email, you will be receiving a link to a PDF resource guide, which actually contains many of the slides that I will be sharing with you in today's webinar. So once you get that PDF resource guide, you can simply click on those website links. You can simply click on those email addresses. For our time together here, I just want you to stay present with me so that you get all the learning, all the knowledge for you. For now, housekeeping. So yes, all audience members are entered in mute with video off to allow clear audio of our presenter speaking today. The presentation portion of this event is being recorded and will be available for free play on demand on our CPABC past events webpage. The Q&A, the question and answer portion of this event will not be recorded. While the presentations are in progress, yes, audience members are encouraged to keep your video off and you are muted. And then the last 20 minutes together will be our question and answer portion. Now, before we dive right into the funding, how do I get money? How do I apply for money? I want to do the CPA program. I really want to lay down a foundation and a base as to, okay, what is the CPA program? How are you different from a program, an academic program at a college or university? So just really laying down that foundation. So the CPA program is a professional training program. What does this mean? So professional training programs consist of an academic component and a work experience component. Both these things together must be completed in order for those persons who are enrolled in professional training programs to be able to graduate and obtain that given credential or certification or designation. In our case, it's the CPA designation. Now, the CPA program being a professional training program, we're not a co-op program. So a co-op program at a college or university typically has the student enrolling in their academics full-time, and their co-op portion is a small portion of their entire academic studies. Professional training programs have both an academic and a work experience component, but the work experience component typically takes up 50% or more of the academic portion in the program. So this defines what is the CPA program. Next to note, the CPA program does not qualify for government student loans from Canada. In addition, Canada government student loans are available only to Canadian citizens, permanent residents, or protected persons in Canada. Protected persons typically reflects refugees who will be granted or in the process of being granted permanent resident or PR status. So for us here today, so what about me? What if I need help with financial assistance? I want to do the CPA program, but what financial funding do I have access to? So let's take a look at the next step. So students who are enrolled in the CPA Western School of Business preparatory courses and candidates who are enrolled in the CPA Professional Education Program in BC, you have access to a variety of funding support through CPABC. That's the first tier. Second tier to that, if you are a student enrolled in our preparatory courses in BC, and if you're a candidate enrolled in the Professional Education Program in BC, and if your status in Canada is you're a temporary resident, which means you're a study permit holder and or you're a work permit holder, and if you're a Canadian citizen and permanent resident and you reside in BC, you have access to our CPABC Education Foundation to apply for scholarships and bursaries with us. You will also have access, much closer access, to many of CPABC employer network employers who offer much financial support to their new hires and current staff who are enrolled in the CPA program. Now, I have a special other category. So this other category, so if you on the line are a permanent resident, PR status in BC, typically 5 years or less of PR status, I want you to check out some additional funding options available to you based on your PR status. Check out some low-interest loan programs available through your local BC settlement agency. Now, these low-interest loan programs are called Foreign Credential Recognition Loan Project, but we do have a link here. Don't worry, you will receive this link in that PDF resource link that will send in the thank you email. And also, for a person who is PR status, recent PR status, and some work permit holders, I want you to check out the Windmill Micro Lending website. They also offer low interest microloans, mini loans for individuals who qualify. So an important thing to note, to remember for all of us, is use all the funding options available to you. You are not restricted to use only one option. So I'm going to let this information sit with you a little bit. And now we'd like to get to know you. I'm going to ask my colleague Louisa to release the poll. I'll ask our audience members to kindly answer the questions you see on your screen right now. And you may have to scroll down because I believe we have about 3 questions there. And audience members, if you can kindly answer those questions, we will then share the results with everyone in the group. Thank you. So the first question is, please select your current status with CPA Western School of Business, CPABC, from the options below. The second question, we're asking individuals to please select the sentence that best describes you. Don't worry, we'll share the results with everyone. Just give people a moment to answer the questions. And then the third question is a multiple choice. We'd like you to share with us, how are you funding your education? So we'll just give audience members a moment to submit their answers. Thanks. The answers being submitted, we've got that. Oh, yes, 66%. Let's see if we can get an A, and we'll wait for a few more entries to come in. Thank you, everyone, again, for telling us a little bit about yourself in your poll. We've got 78%. Let's see if we can get that A. Just wait just a few more moments. We'll give audience members a bit of time. And Louisa, if you can end the poll and share the results, I think we'll just move right along. So the first question is, please select your current status with CPA WSB, CPA BC from the options below. And logged in with us today, we have 62% of audience members have not yet applied for CPA WSB assessment. That is okay. We have 22% are already enrolled in the CPA WSB preparatory courses or already enrolled in the CPA professional education program. 16% of you have already applied for your CPA assessment. Thank you. And also for the second question, which sentence best describes you? So also logged in with us today, we have 30% of you are newcomers. We have 24% are working professionals, 24% are also post-secondary students that are current or graduated within 2 years. We have 11% logged in with us that are students enrolled in CPA WSB preparatory courses, and 11% are PEP candidates enrolled in the CPA professional education program. And the last multiple choice question is, how are you, audience members, funding your education? So 46% of you are doing full-time work. 43% are receiving family support. We have 30% pursuing part-time work, 14% student loans, and 11% are making use of scholarships and bursaries. Thank you, audience members, for sharing and telling us a little bit about yourself. Now, I'm going to pass the mic and the screen over to our first guest speaker, Megan Yarima, who will talk about our CPABC Education Foundation. Megan, the mic and the screen share is yours.
Awesome. Thanks so much, Sheila, and hi to everybody. It's really great to have so many people online and interested in the CPA program. My name is Megan, and I joined the foundation about 3 months ago. So I'm still fresh to this whole scene, but I come from a background of both corporate and charitable experience, most recently in the environmental movement. And I'm a person who really sees the potential in people and the power of people to make change in their lives. So I've joined the Education Foundation, and I'm excited to tell you a bit more about what it is that we do, because I'm not sure that everyone knows about the CPA Education Foundation. What it is, it's a separate entity from CPABC. And it's mostly funded by some investments and also members. So that money comes together, and then we at the foundation look at, well, what's the best way to support enhancing the quality and quantity of students that are going into the profession? And also what I like to say is, how do we help clear obstacles to your education? And how do we create pathways so people can better feel supported as they're on this journey of going through their post-secondary education and through to essentially the designation process, which we know can take some time. And of course, life is expensive, and being in this program can also, it can pull on the purse strings a little bit. So the mandate of the education, of course, is to bring students in and to support them, just in simple terms. But what we do is we also help deliver and support what CPABC does. So there's ways in which we support educators through academic symposiums to really look at how can we contribute to accounting education in the province at the post-secondary level, and also how can we better support people who are in the education process through professional development. So we try to support programs that already exist at CPABC, as well as the scholarships and bursaries, which I think many of you are probably interested in. So there's a few ways to join us and essentially apply for scholarships and bursaries. We have what we call the PSI students, so post-secondary institution scholarships. And there's basically, this is where it can be complicated. So let me try and walk you through this as best I can. Bursaries and scholarships are available for people from first year to fourth year if you're an undergrad student. Some of them are already available at your school, and you go via the financial aid office. And some of them you have to apply directly to the foundation. And this is where our website is going to help you navigate that. Or you reach out to me and you say, this is where I am. This is the program I'm in. What do I do? I'm not really sure. And I'm happy to answer that. We basically have 2 times a year when we have bursaries that are open to both the undergraduate students and the PEP and PrEP students. And one of those application processes just closed on November 15th. The next one is May 15th. So we do have 2 big moments where we take a number of applications. But if you're at a school that has these awards, so for example, BCIT or UBC has a number of awards, Langara, you go to the financial aid office and you work with their schedule. So they're the ones who know the details of their awards, and I'll be able to tell you at the foundation when to apply for the ones that we adjudicate ourselves. When you look at the number of scholarships we have, they are for essentially people in financial need, but we're also looking at revamping our scholarships to make sure we have the amounts that people are really finding helpful. And we're looking at underserved communities, which can involve Indigenous peoples, newcomers to Canada, for example. And what we have right now is we have the Chinook Scholarship. But the Chinook Scholarship is something that's run out of UBC, and it's open to all Indigenous people from BC who are in a business program. So it doesn't necessarily have to be accounting, but what we do is we support that program and particularly encourage the ones who do want to follow their designation and get their CPA to apply to the Chinook Scholarship, where you not only get mentorship as an Indigenous person, but you also get opportunities to meet in person. I think we're going to answer questions at the end, but I do see questions coming in. So I'll just quickly say, if your school does not have an award or bursary, you would look to the Education Foundation. So me, you'd come here and you'd apply at either the November 15th or the May 15th deadline, and you'd apply for the category that you're in. So right now, here's undergrads. Here are some of the schools that basically don't have awards at the school, so you'd want to contact me. And don't worry, Sheila's going to make sure you have this information. So if I'm moving through this, it's not that you have to write everything down. You'll have links. And then we have the awards for PEP and PrEP students. So if you're already in the program, you've signed up to be a preparatory student and you've completed 2 courses, you're eligible to apply for bursaries of up to $3,000. If you have registered for Core 1, you're eligible to apply for support of up to $3,000. And along with that, there is the Vancouver Technology Forum Fund, which is $2,000. We give it out twice a year, once in November and once in May. And it's for students who need equipment, so computers, tablets, anything that'll help you complete your studies. So we have 2 of those a year. And then for bursaries and CPA candidates, there's 2 opportunities a year to apply. Well, how can you get your application noticed? I think honestly, this is going to sound really simple and you might be like, I know these things, but it's funny what we see and what people forget, especially when you're applying for something and you might feel rushed. Start early. If you know that May 15th is the deadline, start asking for references, start writing your cover letter about a month in advance. Because we do see, I was this way too, closer to the deadline, more applications come in, but I think you'll have a little bit less stress if you start early. And I think one of the most important pieces of applying for a scholarship or bursary is telling us about you. Your resume tells me a bit about what you've done or what you've experienced, but your cover letter is where you provide that genuine, authentic sense of who you are. If you're in financial need, tell me about that. If you essentially are on a particular point in your life, you've had some issues or concerns, we would like to know what you're willing to share. So we get that sense of who you are and why you need this money. The scholarships are a bit different because they're based on academic merit. But if you're looking for a financial bursary, it's really helpful for us to get to know you a little bit. And right now, the best way to do it is a cover letter. Here's a big tip, and I'm serious when I say this. Put your name in every file because it really helps. We get a lot of submissions that just say cover letter, and then we have to go back and try and figure out what goes to what. It's really helpful if you just organize everything, submit at the same time, and have your name listed. It helps us a lot, and it really shows how organized you are, which is great. And here's a big one I think people don't think about. Don't forget to include contact details and then to watch your inbox or just have your phone accessible, because sometimes if you forgot something or if we have a question, we're going to call you. And we're going to call you because we think you're a good candidate and we want you to have that opportunity to be considered. So if you've applied, you want to make yourself at least available or check in perhaps about a week before and a week after the application deadline. Those are the important tips so far, what I'm seeing. So for the full list of awards, they're on our website, and we will be redoing the website to try to simplify not only how you find things, but also the application, which right now is a bit long. So we're aware of that and we're working on it. But if you have any questions in the meantime, or you have ideas or thoughts and you just want to reach out and check about what's the process and how things go, the email's right up there on the screen, and I know Sheila will be sharing it with you. And I'm happy to send you further information or just walk you through what you may need to know. So please reach out if you need to. And on that note, I'm going to pass the mic back to Sheila. Oh, but before I do, one thing to say. Oh, I'm passing it to Steph. That's right. For people who do apply, it's about a month duration from when your application is received to when decisions are made by our board. And at that point, it takes roughly 2 to 4 weeks to then get the check or the money in the bank. So you can think of this as a 2-month process, just to keep that in mind overall. And sorry, Steph, I jumped in on your time, but over to you, my friend.
Thank you very much, Megan. So with that, I'm going to take us through the next part of our resources. And perhaps before I even get into an introduction, I'll just remind everybody that there will be a Q&A at the end, and you can ask Megan and I all the questions you have, and hopefully we'll have answers for you. But I've seen some questions come in through the chat, and I'll just remind you that we also have a Q&A function that you can submit questions in. So I'll start off by introducing myself. My name is Stephanie Roy. I am the Director of Employer Relations and Talent Development at CPABC. I work with a great team of people that support employers with finding talent, as well as you, the talent, and accessing roles that will be suitable for you. So my colleagues and I, we will support all types of employers in the province, including big public accounting firms, public sector employers. We'll get into some of that shortly. But we also will be supporting you in your journey, whether you are an aspiring CPA, a student, candidate, designated CPA, with accessing the employment opportunities that will support you in your development and make sure that you have a fulfilling career ahead of you. So there is some good news for you in this. We'll be talking about how, now that we've heard from Megan about how you can support your own funding through scholarships and bursaries, either through your financial office at your post-secondary institution or working with the CPA Education Foundation to access some of the bursaries and scholarships there. Now we're going to talk about how you can work with your employer to get some support from your workplace. And the good news is that CPAs are in very high demand at the moment, and I don't foresee that changing anytime soon. So there are lots of opportunities out there for you to take advantage of. But of course, the first step is finding a fulfilling career. So I'm going to talk about the career contract in just a moment. But before I do, I want to encourage you all to be active in the chat if you have some thoughts on this. I want to know what is important for you in your career. What are you looking for in a career? I think it's important to understand what's important to you and what's important to your employer. And you'll maybe realize in the next slide here that what's important to you as well as what's important to your employer, they do align. And so you will have support from your employer in terms of developing in your career. So I'll get into that now. So the career contract. So, you know, this is just off the top of my head, but again, I'd love to hear from some of you if you have other things to share here. But what's important to you or to me as an employee is that I have rewarding work to do, that I'm able to develop in my career personally and professionally, and that I'm able to find fulfillment in the work that I do. So yeah, I'm hearing about flexibility and doing work you enjoy. That's absolutely something that's important to me too. And we'll probably get some other comments. But if you start thinking about what the employer is looking for, it helps you understand why they're interested in supporting you in your own development. So what does an employer generally want? They want an engaged workforce. They want to be able to seize business opportunities when they come up. And they want to be able to deliver on results, right? So if you kind of look at the employee column and you look at the employer column, there's a lot of things that are aligned, as I said. You want rewarding work. They want an engaged workforce. You want personal and professional development. They want people who can seize opportunities. You want to be able to find fulfillment in your role and, you know, be productive. And the employer also wants to, you know, be able to achieve results. So if you think about it this way, you begin to think about your career as an opportunity to partner with your employer to achieve success together. And I'm just looking through the comments here, and I'm seeing some really nice comments around rewarding work, continuous development. I think if you are pursuing the CPA program or on your way to pursuing the CPA program, you're certainly looking for a professional challenge, and that's important. Sufficient knowledge about qualifications and how to achieve your goals. Absolutely. So before I move on, I'm going to start talking to you about how you can look out for employers who might be interested in supporting you in your development. But before I do, I think it's important to keep in mind that in the CPA program, there are several different requirements, one of them being your work experience. So again, your employer generally will want you to have progressive work experience so they can keep you moving along, and you want that for your own development. And so how can you achieve that? Is by doing the courses and making sure that you are advancing in your learning. And what's important to an employer is that they give you the opportunities to succeed. So before we move on, I want to have everybody reflect a little bit on what is important to you. So what do you want in your career? You may want to become a partner at a public accounting firm. You've probably heard a little bit about careers in accounting if you've attended any of Sheila's other events. You might be interested in working in the nonprofit space to advance a mandate that's important to you if you're a little bit more purpose-driven. You might have a passion for fashion. So, you know, in BC, there's a lot of local retailers, big retailers like, you know, Lululemon and Best Buy. So if you have a real passion for fashion, you might take a career in that direction. Perhaps you're interested in supporting your community. So you might be looking at working in the public sector or in healthcare. If you're passionate about data analytics, there's a pretty significant tech hub here in BC So there are lots of opportunities, as I mentioned, for CPAs. And I think what's important for you is to find the career that will really be fulfilling for you. And then you can partner with your employer. So there's something really out there for everyone, but the first step is doing your research. So we're going to move on here. So I'm going to tell you a little bit about some of the ways that you can connect with employers in BC to talk about your career, where you want to head, and how they can support you in your development. So the first things first is CPABC has an employer network. We work with over 400 employers in BC to partner on supporting them with accessing talent like you. So again, the employers in BC are looking for everybody who's here on this call today, and we have ways of connecting you with those employers. So what's in it for you? Again, most of these employers who are working with us do provide financial support for CPA studies. So they'll be covering things like your module fees, your CPA dues. Once you do become a designated member, many employers will also pay for your ongoing professional development, which is a requirement of the program. They may offer you paid leave to attend courses and exams. So these are important things that you can discuss with your employer. They'll want to support your academic progress in the CPA program. And of course, as I mentioned, one of the 3 E's in the CPA program is experience. And so they do want to see you developing relevant and progressive work experience throughout your time there, so that they can get you working on more important work and more high-level work. And that's also something that will support you throughout the program. So where can you meet these employers? Well, we have a few different mechanisms. So the first thing I want to share with you is the CPABC career site. This is your career marketplace. So if you are an aspiring CPA enrolled in the CPA preparatory courses through the CPA Western School of Business, you will be able to use your CPA Canada ID to log in here. Likewise, CPA candidates who are enrolled in the PEP program will be able to access the career site. And if you are a designated member or no designated members, this is also a great place to go look for opportunities. So the website is careers.bccpa.ca, but again, Sheila will send all of this in the post event notes. So on the career site, you can log in with your CPA Canada ID and you can view all of these opportunities that I was talking about earlier. So whether you're interested in working in public practice or government or in the nonprofit space, there are all sorts of opportunities posted on a daily basis on the CPABC career site. So that's one place that you can go see what employers have to offer. And they often will put in their job description how they will support you in your studies if they are looking to hire somebody who is just beginning the program. So be sure to really have a look at what these opportunities have to offer in terms of financial support. The next thing I wanted to share with you is our career weeks. So CPABC hosts career weeks several times per year. Our next one is coming up in January. So if you haven't registered, this might be another great place to do some research and to have some conversations around compensation and total rewards, as well as financial support. So CPABC Career Week is coming up on January 25th and 26th. The first day of the event, we spend time providing some education around what kind of employer opportunities are coming up. We may host some career workshops, things to help you develop your skills in terms of negotiation, interviewing, and asking those difficult questions. So you want to tune into Career Week to learn about career development skills. And then on the 26th, we will be in person at the Vancouver Convention Center. And this will be your opportunity to meet dozens of employers in person and ask them lots of questions about their career opportunities, as well as what kind of supports they offer to candidates who are in the program. And you can learn more at bccpa.ca/career week, but again, you'll have the link in your post-event slides. Now, I also want to share some of the places I go do research so that I can learn more about opportunities for CPAs and aspiring CPAs in BC. And so accessing sites like the BC Top Employers is a great place to go find out about employers who have great places to work and may be able to support you financially in the program. And so if you're not familiar with the BC Top Employers, it is an annual competition that recognizes BC employers, and they have it in every province as well. But it's organizations that lead their industries in offering exceptional places to work. And the criteria for being nominated to this program, there's 8 criteria. So I've got them listed here. They have a look at your workplace. They have a look at your work atmosphere and social activities. They have a look at what you have to offer as an employer in terms of health, financial, and family benefits. So this would include the total compensation, including some financial support for training, vacation and time off, employee communications, performance management, training and skills development. That's what we're looking for right now. We're talking about entering the program and being able to access the funding for that, as well as community involvement. So it's quite an extensive website. If you go to canadastop100.com/BC, you can actually zero in on each of these companies and find out what they have to offer in terms of, and you might want to be particularly paying attention to number 3 and number 7 if you are looking for a workplace that will be able to support you in your program. So I highly recommend you to check out the BC Top Employers, and there are often a few other sites that will list kind of the top employers in BC, and those are always really good places to go do your research. Now, I wanted to also make you aware of something that's relatively new in the market, the BC Pay Transparency Act. So beginning on November 1st of this year, all employers in BC must now include these expected pay and expected pay range for specific job opportunities that they advertise publicly. So this is really good news for all of us job seekers out there, or people who might be looking to make a change in their career, because you can make a more informed career decision. You will be able to see exactly what they are advertising in terms of salaries. So in the past, I don't know about all of you, but in the past, sometimes I would find out some great opportunities looking through job boards and such. And I would later find out that, you know, the salary range wasn't at all what I was expecting. But by that time, I had maybe gone through a few interviews and taken a lot of time out of my own schedule, as well as out of the schedule of these employers that I was meeting with. And our expectations weren't necessarily matching. So now with this Pay Transparency Act, we can make more informed decisions on our job search, and there's just more transparency about salaries. So I mentioned this, and I'll remind you about some of the places that you can access some of the employment opportunities that might help you access funding to support your studies, like visiting the CPABC career site. You will see now that there's a little bit more transparency on the job board with regards to advertising salaries. And again, employers are want to be competitive, and so they'll probably be advertising more about their supports with regards to financial support with regards to your studies. I think that takes me to the end of my official presentation, but as Megan had, I have a resource page here. And so all of the links that we talked about, you'll be able to go navigate through those afterwards. And I think that takes us to 12:40, which means that it's time for the Q&A. So Sheila, I'll let you take over now.
Thank you to both Stephanie and Megan for sharing that great content and information of how individuals can access funding for if they want to do the CPA program, or if they're currently doing the CPA program. So this part now concludes the formal presentation of the CPABC How-To Series, Funding Your CPA Education. Again, all the information shared with you today is current as of today's date, December 8, 2023. Always refer to our various CPA websites, and in addition to the external websites that I shared with you today. So thank you everyone for participating in the formal presentation.